Success doesn't happen in the light. It's born in the dark, when nobody's clapping, when your back is against the wall, when your bank account laughs at your vision, and you decide to build anyway. Most people avoid that dark. They avoid discomfort like it's poison. But the truth? Discomfort is the door. You don't grow through ease. You grow through pressure. The gym doesn't reward you for showing up. It rewards you for resistance. The mind doesn't sharpen in silence. It sharpens in storms. And the ones who win, they stop running from the hard, and they start running into it, eyes open, fists clenched, heart on fire. You want power? You want to be unforgettable? Then fall in love with the parts of the journey most people run from. Early mornings, late nights, no applause, self-doubt, starting again, because every time you choose discipline over delay, you become more than human. You become inevitable. Think of a man like Abraham Lincoln. Failure after failure, loss after loss, humiliation, bankruptcy, political exile. But the one thing he never lost was the decision that he was here for something bigger. When the world gave him 1,000 reasons to fold, he gave himself one reason to continue. Purpose. And that reason was enough. The masses never understand this. They look at struggle as proof they should stop. But the few, the ones who build legacies instead of just incomes, they look at struggle and say, I must be close. So what's really stopping you? Be honest. It's not the economy. It's not your past. It's not your environment. It's your identity. It's the story you keep telling yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. And the thing about stories is this. If you tell them long enough, they turn into cages. You say, I've always been this way. I'm not wired for risk. I'm too late. I'm not ready. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. That's a choice. And every time you repeat it, you reinforce the ceiling on your life. Every time you entertain your limitations, you give them power. But when you shift your language, when you start to speak like a builder, move like a leader, think like a champion, you don't just change your results. You change your reality. You've been waiting for a feeling, waiting for ready, waiting for certainty. But what if I told you that those things don't come first? What comes first is a decision, and that decision creates the feeling. Every giant, every visionary, every empire builder felt fear, felt confusion, felt imposter syndrome. They just didn't make those feelings the pilot. They let clarity drive. They let belief fuel the engine. And they let decision slam the gas. Because once you decided to win, really decided, you stop asking how long will it take, and you start saying, as long as it takes. Look around you. Most people are dabbling. They're dipping a toe into their dream. They're balancing ambition with excuses, desire with distraction, vision with validation seeking. And they wonder why they feel stuck. But you have another option. You can draw the line. You can choose to separate yourself from the average, not because you're better, but because you're done with the lie that playing small is noble. It's not noble. It's neglect. Neglect of your gift. Neglect of your calling. Neglect of every person who needs you to step into your power. You don't need more potential. You need more execution. You don't need more time. You need more urgency. Because life is not going to pause until you're confident. It's not going to wait until your plan is perfect. It's not going to lower its standards just because you're scared. You either rise or you remain. And every day you delay, you strengthen the chains of the version of you that will never make it. But in this moment, right here, right now, you can snap those chains. You can throw off the weight of indecision. You can become the person who walks like the victory already belongs to them. Who doesn't need a second opinion? Just a first step. You want to know why most people fail? Because they're too busy waiting to be chosen. But winners choose themselves. They don't fail because they're broken. They don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because the world is unfair. Most people fail because they never made the decision to win. Not a wish, not a daydream, not a We'll see what happens. A decision, a line drawn in fire, a standard forged in blood, sweat, silence, and sacrifice. Most people wander through life like it's a dress rehearsal. They tiptoe toward comfort and call it ambition. They confuse movement with purpose and survival with success. They think trying is enough, and they never realize that life doesn't respond to effort. It responds to certainty. It listens to those who say, I will win or I will die trying, but I will not remain the same. That's why the world remembers the Edisons, the Disneys, the Carnegies, the Lincolns, because they made a decision, and then they became it. There's a level of power that only arrives when you cut off the option to quit. But most never get there. They wait. They overthink. They ask for signs. They talk about someday. And in the silence between their intentions and their actions, their greatness dies. Let me tell you something raw. Life owes you nothing. It doesn't hand crowns to the worthy. It hands them to the relentless. You want to know the truth? Talent is overrated. Potential is a myth. The graveyard is full of potential. The world is littered with talented, broke people because they never made the decision that their life was non-negotiable. They let fear whisper in their ear louder than purpose screamed in their soul. They let failure humiliate them into hiding. They let distractions rob them blind, while they laughed about it on social media. And then one day, they woke up surrounded by regrets, wondering what happened. What happened? They never decided to win. Winners don't dabble. They burn the boats. They don't tiptoe in. They storm the gates. They don't need a guarantee. They move as if the outcome is already theirs. That's the secret no one tells you. Before Ford ever made the Model T, he was already driving it in his mind. Before Carnegie built steel empires, he was already carrying himself like a king. Before Oprah ever owned the room, she was speaking to invisible audiences in her head with unshakable conviction. You think they waited for permission? For perfect timing? For the fear to go away? No, they decided. They married the mission before anyone saw the miracle. They became the kind of person their future needed before the future ever showed up. But you still hesitate. You still want the success without the sacrifice, the respect without the repetition, the empire without the execution. You want motivation to carry you where only discipline can go. You scroll instead of build. You watch instead of work. You listen to the voice in your head that says, maybe you're not ready. Let me answer that for you. No one is ready. Not when they start. Not when they fail. Not even when they win. Read that again. Not even when they win. The decision doesn't come from the outcome. The outcome is born from the decision. The world bends to the person who refuses to be denied, not the one who asks nicely, not the one who tries their best, the one who rises before the sun, who prepares when no one's watching, who shows up when it's hard, who keeps going when it's thankless, who doesn't need approval, just clarity. The truth is, you don't need a new plan. You don't need a mentor or a podcast or another book. You need a moment where you look in the mirror and make a decision so loud your doubt goes silent, where you declare, this is it. No more halfway living. No more chasing crumbs. No more shrinking to fit into the story I've outgrown. No more excuses disguised as reasons. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to win. And in that moment, your life begins. Because most people fail, not from a lack of resources, but from a lack of resolve.